I was walking down the street, headphones in, trying to drown out the silence that had settled inside me since she left. Life had found its rhythm: work, friends, weekends, but nothing really filled the hollow spot where Sophia used to be. Hey! I froze. That voice. I didn't even need to look up to know, but I did. And there she was. Sophia. My Sophia. She was laughing, sunlight catching her hair, and for a second, I forgot to breathe. Hey, I managed, my voice tighter than I expected. She tilted her head, a smile teasing at her lips. It's been a while. Yeah, I said, keeping it casual. How've you been? Busy, she replied, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You know, life. Life, I echoed, bitter and soft at the same time. Funny how it keeps moving even when you don't. She laughed lightly, and something inside me tightened. I guess that's the point, isn't it? Yeah, I suppose it is. I ran a hand over my face, fighting the old ache. I didn't expect to see you here. Neither did I, she said, her eyes glinting with that same old charm. Funny, isn't it, running into each other like this? Yeah, funny, I said again. My mind was racing, memories flashing. The nights we laughed until dawn, the promises we whispered, the lies I couldn't see coming. Sophia's smile faltered for a moment. I hope you're doing okay. Me? I'm fine, I lied, trying to sound composed. It's been a while. Time heals, right? Maybe, she said softly. Sometimes it just covers things up. Her words hit harder than I expected. I wanted to ask what she meant, but I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I forced a smile. So, how's work? Good, she replied quickly. Really busy. Keeps me sane, I guess. She glanced at me, and for a second her eyes softened. You look well. I felt my chest tighten. Thanks. You too. I wanted to say more, but the words wouldn't come. It was too dangerous, too close, too raw. There was a pause, and I could feel the old tension between us. The unsaid words, the betrayal, the distance that time hadn't erased. I should go, she said finally, looking down at her phone. I have a meeting soon. Yeah, I get it, I said, not wanting her to leave, but knowing I couldn't stop her. It was good to see you, Sophia. She smiled just a little, and it was like a spark reigniting something I thought had died. You too, really. I watched her walk away, each step pulling at something deep inside me. I wanted to call her back, to ask why she had left, to scream at her for the hurt she caused, but I didn't. I let her go, even though part of me refused to. I stood there, the city moving around me, and realized the past wasn't gone. Not really. The ache, the anger, the longing. It was all still there, quietly waiting. And I knew with a sinking certainty that fate wasn't done with us yet. I whispered to myself as she disappeared down the street, not done, not done at all. I can still remember that night. I see it clearly every time I close my eyes. You're late, I said, trying to keep my voice casual. Sophia laughed, the kind of laugh that used to make my chest ache with happiness. Traffic. You know how it is. I smiled, though something inside me was uneasy. Sure, traffic. So, who's coming tonight? Oh, just a few friends. You'll like them, she said, her tone light, effortless. I should have felt at ease. Instead, I felt wrong. Hey, Liam, over here. Sophia's voice carried across the room. I froze. Liam, my best friend, the guy I trusted more than anyone. He waved, that smug smile plastered on his face. Well, didn't expect to see you tonight. Yeah, me neither, I muttered. Something in his tone set off alarms I couldn't name. Sophia joined us, smiling brightly. I thought you two should catch up. Catch up? I wanted to ask why she was smiling like that, but I didn't. My stomach twisted. Liam, you look different, I said, keeping my voice steady. He laughed, brushing it off. Different good or different bad? You're arrogant as always, I said, my teeth clenching. Gotta stay consistent, he replied. Wouldn't want you thinking I change for anyone. My blood ran cold. I laughed, trying to mask my unease. Yeah, wouldn't want that. The night went on. Laughter, drinks, casual chatter. But I couldn't focus. I kept catching glances between them, Sophia and Liam. Smiles exchanged in ways that weren't meant for friends. Can I talk to you for a second? Liam whispered, pulling me aside. Sure. I followed him into the hallway, heart pounding. You're still hung up on her, huh? He asked, casually leaning against the wall. Excuse me, I said, narrowing my eyes. You heard me. You can't hide it. She's something else. He smirked. But maybe you should accept reality. What reality? I demanded. That some things aren't meant to be, he said, voice low. Some people move on. I felt something snap inside me. Move on? You mean you and her? He raised an eyebrow as if I were stupid. I don't know what you mean. Don't lie to me, I spat. I know. I saw the messages. I saw the way you look at her. You think I wouldn't notice? He laughed, dark and cruel. Notice what? Come on, man. Don't make this awkward. Don't make this awkward, I shouted. She was my everything, my trust, and you... I stopped, choking on my words. My heart ached. You took it all. Liam shrugged as if it were nothing. She made her choice. Don't blame me for being there. I shook my head, stunned. I can't believe you. My best friend, my brother, and you? Stop it, it's done, he said sharply. Move on, or you'll ruin your life dwelling on it. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell Sophia everything I thought of her too. But instead I walked away. Heart pounding, tears burning my eyes. Later I sat alone in my apartment, replaying the night over and over, their laughter, the whispers I caught, Liam's smirk, Sophia's distant eyes. My anger boiled, but it wasn't enough. Beneath it was something sharper, sadness, the kind that eats at your chest. I whispered to myself, you think you got away with it, huh? You think I'll just disappear? I wouldn't. Not now. Not ever. The next day I started plotting. Not for revenge out of hate, but to reclaim myself. To expose the truth without stooping to their level. Liam had to see that betrayal comes with consequences. Sophia? I needed answers from her, not lies. I called my old friends. The ones who had been there the night everything fell apart. You remember that night? I asked. They nodded. We saw it. We heard it. We wanted to tell you sooner, but you didn't want to hear it. I need to fix this, I said, voice firm. Not just for me, for her. She deserves to see who he really is, and I deserve to stop feeling like a fool. They agreed to help in small ways, truths, reminders, subtle exposure. And as I hung up, a cold satisfaction spread through me. Not cruelty, justice, karma. But underneath it all, my chest ached. Sophia, I missed her, I hated her, I loved her, I resented her. And I knew no matter how carefully I played this, I'd never forget the sting of that betrayal. I whispered into the darkness of my room, you think you broke me? You were wrong. I'm just getting started. I didn't want to go to Emily's party, but Emily has a way of making it impossible to say no. You need to come, she'd said. It'll be fun. You'll see everyone. Everyone? I muttered, though I knew what she meant. Yes, everyone, she insisted. Don't be dramatic. So reluctantly, I showed up trying to act casual. That's when I saw her. Sophia. standing across the room, laughing with friends. She looked radiant, like she'd stepped out of my dreams. My chest tightened, and I had to force myself to breathe. And then I saw him, Liam. His smug smile, leaning casually against the wall, clearly owning the room. I swallowed. He hadn't changed a bit. "Hey, you made it!" Emily appeared next to me, smiling. "I didn't know you'd actually come." "Yeah, I'm here," I said, trying to sound normal. Emily glanced at Sophia and Liam. "Oh, perfect timing. You should all meet up. I think you'll have fun." I wanted to protest, but before I could, Sophia walked toward me. "Hi," she said, her smile soft but familiar. "Hi," I replied, heart hammering. "You look good." "You too," she said quickly, brushing off my words. "Really?" There was a pause, thick with things unsaid. Then Liam appeared, smirking. "Well, if it isn't my two favorite people." I clenched my fists inside my pockets. "Hi, Liam," I said, voice steady but sharp. He laughed, like it was a joke only he understood. "You two really are awkward together." "Yeah," I muttered. "Awkward." Sophia shifted closer to me just slightly. The spark between us was subtle, but undeniable. Liam noticed it immediately. His smirk faltered just for a moment before he masked it with laughter. "So, how have you been?" Sophia asked, her voice light, but with an edge I couldn't ignore. "Good," I said. "Busy. Keeping myself sane." "Yeah, I know what you mean," she replied, her eyes flicking away. Then she laughed, almost too casually. "Life moves on, right?" I felt my chest tighten. "It does, for some people," I said carefully, watching her reaction. She hesitated, then smiled, too quickly, too bright. "Of course. Some people." Her words lingered, careless but loaded. My mind raced. Was that regret I heard? Or just a shadow of the past she wanted to hide? Liam stepped between us. "You two are acting weird," he said, voice dripping with mockery, like some high school drama. "Maybe," I said, forcing a smile. "Maybe we are." He shook his head. "I don't get you sometimes." Then he laughed and walked away, leaving me staring after him. Sophia's gaze met mine again, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. "You haven't changed," she said softly. "Neither have you," I replied, barely hiding my emotions. "Not really." She chuckled, nervous this time. "I guess some things never do." The night went on, and I found myself drawn into conversation with her, each word loaded with memory and tension. We talked about work, travel, small things, but everything felt like a test, a dance around the past. "You've been thinking about that night too, haven't you?" she asked suddenly. I blinked, surprised. "Which night?" "The night we drifted apart," she said, eyes meeting mine. Then she laughed, quickly covering it up. "Never mind, doesn't matter." "It matters," I said softly. "To me, at least." She hesitated, then looked away. "Maybe it shouldn't." I wanted to argue, to pull the truth from her lips, but I didn't. Not yet. I let the moment hang between us, heavy and electric. By the time the party ended, I was restless, confused, hungering for answers that might never come. And underneath it all, the old desire stirred: revenge, closure, and maybe, just maybe, a second chance. Walking home, I whispered to myself, "This isn't over. Not by a long shot." I sat across from Ethan in our favorite coffee shop, swirling the black coffee in my cup. "I can't just let him get away with it," I said, my voice low. Ethan leaned back, smirking. "Who, Liam? Come on, man. You've got to breathe." "I can't," I said, slamming my cup lightly. "He ruined everything. Our friendship, Sophia. Everything. And he thinks he can just waltz around like nothing happened." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like someone needs a little plan." That's exactly why I called you, I said. I need a way to put him in his place without looking like a jerk. Ah, subtle vengeance. I like it, Ethan said, grinning. Step 1, get back in his circles. Step 2, expose him. Exactly, I said, feeling a small spark of hope. I've been thinking. Parties, dinners, social events, anything where he thrives. I show up, act normal, maybe even charming, and let people see who he really is. Ethan nodded. And Sophia? I want to see her, I admitted. Not just to make Liam squirm, but to know if there's still something there. You mean you're testing her? Ethan asked, laughing. Classic move. I'm not playing games, I said defensively. I just need to know. Fair enough, Ethan said, leaning forward. So, we need a strategy. First, subtle reminders of the past. Innocent conversations, maybe run into her unexpectedly. Second, small slips from Liam's ego. Push him a little, let people notice his arrogance. Third, he paused, grinning. Let karma do its thing. I like it, I said. Simple, clean, effective. And you need patience, Ethan added. You can't rush this, or it'll backfire. I know, I said, sipping my coffee. But patience is hard when my chest still aches every time I see her. Ethan raised a hand. Ah, yes, the love-hate cocktail. Deliciously painful. Don't mock me, I said, though a small laugh escaped me. You don't understand. Seeing her smile, hearing her laugh, it's like everything I lost is right there, just out of reach. I get it, man, Ethan said. But anger is useful too. Channel it. Make him pay without looking petty. I nodded. That's the plan. Show him who I really am. Remind Sophia what she lost. And expose his arrogance all at once. And while you do that, Ethan said, leaning back, maybe you'll get your answers. Maybe even a second chance. I frowned. Maybe, but it's risky. She might not feel the same. Risky's fun, Ethan said, shrugging. Besides, you've got charm. You've always had it. Charm doesn't fix a broken heart, I muttered. Maybe not, Ethan said, grinning. But it helps. And if anyone can do this without falling apart, it's you. I let out a slow breath. Okay, step 1. Get into Liam's circles again. Parties, dinners, anything. Step 2. Subtle reminders to Sophia. Step 3. Let him slip. Step 4. Watch the fallout. Ethan raised his cup. Step 5. Enjoy the victory. I smiled faintly. If victory feels like closure, maybe. But more than that. I just want to reclaim myself. My dignity. My life. And Sophia? Ethan asked. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants her back. Part of me wants answers. And part of me wants to see Liam squirm. Ethan laughed. Ah, the holy trinity of motivation, love, closure, revenge, classic. I shook my head, smirking despite myself. Yeah, classic. But it's true. Every step I take has to count. No wasted moves. Exactly, Ethan said. Precision over emotion. Mostly. You'll figure out when to let emotion guide you. I nodded, thinking about her smile, her laugh, the way her eyes had softened when we met at Emily's party. That spark hadn't gone out. But it was dangerous. Dangerous to hope. Dangerous to trust again. I need to be careful, I said. Sophia, Liam, the lines are all blurred. One wrong move, and it's over. Everything I'm planning could collapse. Then don't make a wrong move, Ethan said simply. Stick to the plan. Play it smart. And for the love of everything, don't get distracted by old feelings. I can't promise that, I said quietly. But I'll try. Ethan laughed. Good enough. Now go. Start showing up. Start talking. Start plotting. And remember, subtle. Always subtle. I left the coffee shop with a plan forming in my mind, a tension coiling in my chest. Sophia, Liam, revenge, and maybe, just maybe, a second chance. I had to play it right. Every word, every glance, every move would count. And as I walked into the evening, I whispered to myself, let the game begin. I saw Sophia again at another small gathering, this time at a cafe Emily had organized. She looked calm, radiant even, but there was something different. Hesitation behind her eyes, a tension I hadn't noticed before. Hey, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. Hey, she replied, voice soft, almost uncertain. You've been busy, I said lightly, though my chest tightened. I have, she said, glancing down at her coffee. And you? Same, I said, keeping myself occupied, trying not to think too much. She smiled faintly, and for a moment I thought she might say more. But then Liam walked in. His presence was immediate, arrogant, like he owned the room. I caught the subtle smirk he gave me, like he thought he had already won. Hello, gentlemen, he said casually, leaning against the counter. And Sophia. Hi, Liam, I said, voice steady but tight. He laughed lightly. Still tense. Relax, will you? I am relaxed, I said, barely holding the edge in my tone. Sophia's eyes flicked between us, lingering on me longer than necessary. You two, she said, hesitating. You're complicated, aren't you? Complicated, I echoed. Yes, she said softly. I mean, I don't know what your intentions are anymore. With me, with him. I swallowed, caught off guard. My intentions? To see me? To make him feel bad? I don't know, she admitted, looking down. It's confusing. I reached across the table lightly but stopped. Sophia, I'm not trying to hurt anyone, I said honestly, though my heart raced. I just don't want clarity. I want honesty. She looked up, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. And if you get it, what then? Will you forgive, or are you just playing a game? I'm not playing a game, I said firmly, but I can't deny I want him to see the truth. I want him to understand what arrogance costs. That's part of it. And I still care about you. She flinched slightly, a blush rising to her cheeks. She began, then hesitated, her eyes dropping again. I don't know what I feel. Sometimes I regret leaving. Sometimes I think I made a mistake. I know, I said softly. I feel it too. Every time I see you, I feel everything I lost, everything I wanted, all over again. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for her cup. And yet, here we are. We talk, we laugh, but you're distant. Are you doing this on purpose? To see how I feel? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. Maybe partially. I'm not proud of it. I want answers, Sophia. I want to know if there's still something real between us. But I also want him to see himself clearly. I can't just forget what he did. Liam's laughter cut across the cafe. I glanced over and saw him fumbling with a comment someone made, trying to mask his discomfort. My plan was working, slowly. His confidence was slipping just enough to make him look human. Sophia caught my glance and smiled faintly. I see what you're doing, she whispered. What? I asked, heart thudding. You're trying to protect yourself, to reclaim yourself. And maybe testing me too. I am, I admitted. I won't lie. I can't help it. She reached out and touched my hand lightly. Just don't let anger ruin what's left of us, or you'll lose more than him. I know, I said, feeling the weight of her words. I'm trying to balance it between love, revenge, and everything else. We sat in silence for a moment, tension and unspoken feelings hanging between us. My chest ached and my mind raced, but I knew one thing. The tug of war wasn't over. Not for me, not for her, and definitely not for Liam. I whispered under my breath, more to myself than anyone else, I'll have the answers, all of them, and I won't lose myself in the process. I was standing by the window, trying to appear casual, but my chest was pounding. Sophia was across the room talking quietly with Clara, her co-worker. Liam was nearby, laughing too loudly, trying to look untouchable. You really think he's that confident? Clara whispered to Sophia. Sophia shrugged, glancing at me. He's always acted like he's perfect, like no one can touch him. Perfect? I muttered under my breath. Wait until he's exposed. Just then Clara's phone buzzed. She read a message and froze, her eyes widening. Wait, what? What? Sophia asked. Clara looked around embarrassed. Oh no, I didn't mean for anyone else to see this. See what? I stepped closer, curiosity sharp. Clara hesitated, then whispered, It's about Liam. He's been lying about everything. About me, about others, even about you, Sophia. Sophia's eyes flicked to Liam, confusion and disbelief mixed in her gaze. Lying? About me? Clara nodded. Yes. I didn't want to believe it either, but the messages, the calls, he's been manipulating everyone. I felt a surge of quiet satisfaction, but my heart still ached as I watched Sophia process the truth. I told you, I murmured under my breath. Sophia took a shaky breath. I can't believe this. All this time. Her voice faltered. Liam, sensing something was wrong, approached. What's going on? Clara turned to him, phone in hand. You lied. To everyone. I didn't want to say anything, but the messages, people are seeing the truth. Liam laughed nervously. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. Overreacting? Sophia's voice was sharper now, strength emerging through her shock. Clara showed me the messages, Liam, the texts, the calls, everything. How could you? I... Liam stammered, trying to maintain composure, but his arrogance cracked. I trusted you, Sophia continued, her eyes glistening. I thought you cared about me, about us. And you... She shook her head. You lied. I watched him falter, his confidence crumbling with every word. The power balance was shifting, and I could finally breathe a little easier. I didn't need to say anything. Clara had done the work I couldn't without seeming cruel. Liam's jaw tightened. Sophia, listen. No, she snapped. I don't want to hear it. I see you now. I see who you really are. I felt a strange mix of empowerment and sadness. Part of me rejoiced. Karma was unfolding naturally, but another part ached for Sophia. She deserved honesty, respect, someone who valued her truly. Liam had never been that person. Clara muttered under her breath. I didn't mean to. You did the right thing, I said quietly, my voice low. She glanced at me, surprise flickering in her eyes. Sophia looked at me, then at Liam. I need some time, she said softly, stepping closer to me for support. I reached out and gently touched her arm. Take all the time you need, I said. I'm here. Liam tried to interject again. Sophia, wait. She ignored him, her gaze steady on me. No, I see everything clearly now, and I need to process it. The crowd around us was murmuring, whispering about the revelation. Liam's ego, once untouchable, was shattered. He was human now, flawed, insecure, exposed, and I felt control. Not over Sophia, not over her feelings, but over the chaos he had caused. I could steer it without losing myself. I leaned closer to Sophia, voice soft. He doesn't define you or us. You know that, right? She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. I know. It's just so much to take in. I understand, I said, but this is good. The truth always comes out eventually. Sometimes it just takes a little push. Her hand brushed mine. That spark, the old connection, flickered again. Subtle, but undeniable. I felt my chest tighten. Thank you, Sophia said quietly, almost to herself, for being here, for everything. You don't have to thank me, I said, voice steady. I just want to make sure you see what's real, what matters. She smiled faintly, fragile but genuine. I think I'm starting to. I looked at Liam, then back at Sophia. Justice had a way of arriving quietly, naturally, and right now it was unfolding before my eyes. I could finally breathe, feel some clarity, but my heart, it still ached for her. I whispered to myself as Liam slunk away, humiliated but wiser. This is just the beginning. Everything else will follow. Sophia asked me to meet her at the park, away from everyone. Her voice had trembled over the phone, soft and urgent. Now, standing under the dim streetlights, I felt my chest tighten. Sophia, I started. Don't say anything yet, she interrupted, taking a shaky breath. I need you to listen. I nodded silently, my heart racing. I can't keep pretending, she began, voice low. After everything, seeing you, seeing Liam exposed, I realize I never stopped feeling for you. I never stopped loving you. My chest tightened further. Sophia, Wait, she said, holding up a hand. I know I hurt you. I know I betrayed you. And I can't undo it. But what I feel now, it's real. I can't hide it anymore. I swallowed, unsure if I wanted to reach for her or step back. You really mean that? I asked carefully, needing the truth. She looked at me, eyes glossy with emotion. Yes, I mean every word. I can't stop thinking about us, about what we had, what we could still have. My hands itched to pull her close, but I hesitated. Sophia, I don't know if I can just forgive and forget. You hurt me. Deeply. I know, she said softly, stepping closer. And I deserve that. I don't expect you to forgive me immediately. I just needed you to know. I ran a hand through my hair, conflicted. Part of me wanted to throw my arms around her. Part of me wanted to test her, to make sure this wasn't just emotion after seeing Liam falter. Then, prove it, I said finally, my voice low. Not to me, but to yourself. Show me this isn't just words. Her lips trembled as she took a step closer. I don't know how else to prove it, she whispered. I searched her eyes, looking for any hint of doubt. There was none, only vulnerability and longing. Without thinking, I closed the gap between us. Then show me, I said again, softer this time. Her lips met mine suddenly. Hesitantly at first, then with growing urgency. My heart thundered, the past flooding back, the anger, the betrayal, all dissolving in that kiss. I felt her hands on my chest, pulling me closer, and I gave in, letting the old fire ignite. When we finally pulled back, breathless, I whispered, You mean it. You really mean it. Yes, she breathed, I do. I let out a slow laugh. More relief than anything else. Then maybe we can start over. Carefully. Slowly. Her eyes lit up, hope and fear mixed. I want that. More than anything. In that moment, I realized something. Revenge wasn't always about hurting someone. Sometimes it was about reclaiming your own power. Seeing Liam exposed, watching Sophia see the truth, I didn't feel triumph over him. I felt free. Free from the pain, free from the deception, free to decide my own happiness. You've changed, she said quietly, tracing a finger along my hand. Stronger, wiser. I had to, I said, because I needed to survive. Because I needed to make sure I didn't lose myself to anger. We stood in silence for a moment, letting the night settle around us, letting the world feel right again. Somewhere across town, Liam's ego was crumbling further. The circle we shared had already started noticing his arrogance, his lies. The humiliation was subtle but complete. He was learning the hard way that actions have consequences. I glanced at Sophia, still holding my hand. "You don't have to worry about him anymore," I said softly. She leaned her forehead against mine. "I don't. Not with you." I closed my eyes, letting the weight of everything lift slightly. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't triumph over someone else. It was reclaiming what I lost, my dignity, my control, and maybe love again. "Then we try," I whispered. "Yes," she said, smiling softly. "We try." And in that quiet night, under the dim streetlights, I finally felt a flicker of hope. Hope that some things, love, trust, respect, could be rebuilt. And that the past, while painful, could lead to something better. I kissed her again gently this time, letting the promise linger. I met Sophia at the quiet cafe where we used to go before everything fell apart. The familiar scent of coffee and pastries made my chest tighten, but this time, it wasn't just nostalgia, it was hope. "Hey," she said softly, smiling when she saw me. "Hey," I replied, smiling back. "It feels good to see you like this. Calm." She nodded, eyes warm. Yeah, I needed this. Needed a moment without the past hanging over us. I sipped my coffee, letting the silence stretch comfortably. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About Liam, about us, about me, about you?" she asked, tilting her head. "Yeah," I said. I realized that anger, revenge, it's not what made me stronger. It was deciding to take control of my own life, my own happiness. She reached across the table, brushing her hand against mine. "You've changed. You're steady now. Not like before when everything could shake you." "I had to change," I said, voice low. I couldn't let betrayal define me. I couldn't let him, Liam, control my emotions. Karma did its part and I did mine. But the rest came from me. Sophia nodded, eyes misty. "I see that, and I respect it. And you." I smiled faintly. "I respect you too. That's why I want to rebuild trust slowly, step by step, not rushing, not pretending the past didn't happen." "I want that too," she said, voice trembling slightly. "I know I hurt you, and I'll spend forever regretting it if I could. But I want to try, if you let me." "You're allowed," I said softly. "But we take it slow. Every word, every look, we earn it again." She nodded, relief washing over her features. "I can do that. I want to do that." I glanced down at the small table and noticed something glinting from my jacket pocket, the old necklace we used to share. I held it up. "Do you remember this?" Her eyes widened. "Our necklace. I kept it. Always." I smiled, holding it out to her. "It's not just a memory of the past. It's a symbol. A reminder that we can start fresh. That we can choose the future together." She reached for it, her fingers brushing mine as she held it. "It's perfect. It's us." The moment hung between us, delicate, fragile, but full of possibility. I felt my chest swell, not with anger, not with jealousy, but with hope. "Have you heard from anyone about Liam?" I asked casually, though curiosity pricked me. She laughed softly. "Yes, he's facing the consequences. People are finally seeing who he really is. It's like the arrogance finally cracked." I nodded. "Good. Not for pleasure, but for balance. Karma, right?" "Right," she said, smiling. "He's learning the hard way." I chuckled. "I suppose we all have our lessons." She tilted her head, studying me. "And you? What did you learn?" "That revenge isn't about hurting someone," I said honestly. "It's about reclaiming yourself, your dignity, your strength, your life. Once I realized that I felt free, and now I want to build something real with you. Her hand lingered over mine. I want that too, real, honest, careful, but real. We talked then quietly about small things, work, friends, little dreams. The past still lingered, but it no longer controlled us. Each word, each laugh, each glance was a brick in the bridge we were building together. Eventually she stood and held out her hand. "Come with me," she said. I took it, and she led me to a quiet spot in the park where we had spent hours before, laughing, talking, dreaming. "I want to remember this moment," she whispered, "as a new beginning." I held her close, feeling the warmth of her presence. Me too. Every day from now on, we choose this together. The necklace rested between us, glinting softly in the evening light. A symbol of our past, yes, but also of the promise we made to move forward. I glanced toward the horizon, thinking of everything that had happened: betrayal, anger, heartbreak, strategy, and finally, reconciliation. Liam had faced his fall, and Sophia and I were ready to face the future. I whispered softly, more to myself than anyone else. We survived, we grew, and now we begin. Sophia smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. Together. Together, I repeated, closing my eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the past lift, replaced by a quiet strength, a deep love, and hope for the life we would build. And for the first time in a long while, I felt whole. It's been a few months since everything fell into place. Sitting at our favorite cafe with Sophia, I feel a calm I haven't known in years. "You look different," she said, stirring her coffee. "Different?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, stronger, less tense," she said, smiling. "I can see it in your eyes." I chuckled softly. I guess surviving betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge changes a person. You learn who you are when everything else falls apart. She reached across the table and touched my hand. "I'm glad you didn't lose yourself." "I almost did," I admitted. But I realized closure doesn't come from hurting someone else. It comes from understanding, patience, and emotional strength. She nodded, her eyes reflecting the same realization. "I understand that now too. Losing you, losing trust, it forced me to grow. I don't take anything for granted anymore." I smiled, thinking of Liam. He's no longer a presence I fear or envy. Karma took its course quietly, and the people around him learned the truth. No dramatic confrontation was needed, just natural consequences. "I heard from Clara recently," Sophia said, a small laugh escaping her. "She's thriving at work, finally free of Liam's nonsense. And Emily?" "She's planning another gathering next month," I said. "She says she wants everyone to reconnect, without drama this time." We laughed softly, memories of the past lingering, but not haunting. "Do you ever think about the old necklace?" Sophia asked, brushing her fingers over mine. "All the time," I admitted. "It reminds me of where we started, and how far we've come." "It's funny," she said, smiling. "Something so small carried so much meaning. Pain, hope, love, all in a tiny chain." "Exactly," I said. "It's a reminder that even fragile things can survive if we care enough to protect them." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I want to protect us. This time, for real." "Me too," I whispered, wrapping an arm around her. "No games, no pretenses, just us, honest, patient, and stronger than before." We sat in silence for a while, watching the sunlight shift across the cafe. Life outside continued, people laughing, talking, living. But inside, we had found a small world of our own. "You know," Sophia said quietly, "I never thought we'd get here." I was so afraid. But now I'm grateful. Grateful for the heartbreak? I asked lightly. No, she said, smiling softly. Grateful for finding our way back, for learning, for growing, for us. I kissed her forehead, feeling the weight of the past lift completely. Me too. And now, we start the rest of our lives together, smarter, wiser, and stronger. She smiled, leaning into me. Together. Together, I echoed, thinking of every challenge, every tear, every small victory. It wasn't revenge that gave me peace. It was understanding, resilience, and the choice to love again. And finally, after all the pain and betrayal, I felt whole.